Doing this with your feet in the golf swing will ultimately feel like cheating because it makes it so much easier. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson. Welcome back to Get Good at Golf. Today we're talking footwork and we're talking about how you can cheat your body into actually providing you a much better golf swing even if you've not practiced that much. That sounds perfect, doesn't it? So what are we talking about? Because footwork is so important. First of all, we'll talk setup and then we'll get into a little bit more depth. But if you're stood too narrow here, you're generally going to really struggle with your balance. You're going to struggle to be able to load up onto your right side. Obviously, we know we want to load up to the right side, so then we can rotate into that left side for impact and your finishing position. But if you stand too wide here, then generally you're also going to struggle to turn. So you're not going to struggle with your balance will be a-okay. You're never going to fall over from here, but you're going to really struggle to complete a turn. So first of all, it's really important that we stand correctly at the golf ball. That's not the cheating aspect, but we need to get that right before we move on to cheating the test. You see, once you've done that, a big thing in the golf swing is making sure these hips turn. So if I try and hit a really nice struck iron shot here, the key with that is making sure my body turns, making sure my hips can turn, and you can see that I've hit a nice shot up on that green and I've got really good turf interaction here. So turf interaction is key to hitting good iron shots. You can see the ball was on that tee peg, I've hit down on it slightly, the club's moved around my body a little bit, so it's moving around the arc, and I've done everything perfectly there. If I was to hit you a shot and struggle to turn my hips, you might think, well James, it looks totally different, and you would be correct. If I don't turn my hips, oh dear, I've tried there, I've managed to square it up. That one's nowhere near the green. I've lost loads of distance. I managed to turn the club face, so I've done okay. You can see the tee is still where it was. I've not taken a divot at all there. But if I struggle to do that and I can't physically turn my hips, which is what so many golfers struggle with, what can you do with your feet to allow you to do that? You see, if you're going to set your feet in the correct way, we've already spoken about obviously how wide they need to be, but what about now if we speak about where your toes point? Because I see so many people who almost stand inverted here with the toes pointing at the golf ball almost like a Christmas tree. From here, it's very difficult to turn your hips because your hips are already set inwards here. This is really difficult. I'm actually cramping up on my leg there because that's not where you want to be standing. It's not a natural place. If you were stood talking to someone here, you'd probably stand with your feet a little bit out. You're not going to stand with your feet totally parallel like this. You're going to stand just to give yourself a little bit more balance. But what that allows you to do is it actually presets your hip a little bit. So if you're a right-handed golfer, your lead side is your left side. That's the side closer to the target. So if I have that left foot just fanned out a little bit, just to kind of 10 o'clock here, once I load up to the top of the backswing, it actually presets my hip so I can turn down into the ball. So you can see my hips are rotated through impact there, so I'm actually moving towards the target straight away. We know that weight transfer has to be evident there. We know that weight transfer has to be there so you can get the strike you want. But so many people don't realise that weight transfer works in conjunction with rotation. Rotation is where you get your speed from, and rotation is where you get your ball striking from. So if I do that correctly now, I have my left foot set out just a bit, you'll see how much easier it makes it to get through into that left side. Again, I've hit down into the ball, again I've got a nice divot after that ball, and again I've hit the green with one of those shots. So just think about, if you struggle with your hip rotation, if you struggle getting your hips in the right place, what about presetting them, and what about allowing yourself from the top of the backswing just to turn into that left side? Because if your hips turning to get nice and neutral with your foot, it's a lot easier to keep turning your chest then, get your handle forward, get some compression, keep in control of that club face, ultimately strike your irons better, strike them further, and hit them a lot straighter. Guys, Chris has got a fantastic drill to help you with this. If you do want to get good at golf, make sure you hit that subscribe button below, throw a like on this video, and let us know what else would you like help getting good at golf at. Over to Chris.
As always, they're great points from James. And guys, if you are looking to get good at golf and you want to do that online or in person, please drop us an email on that email below. But let's talk about drills. Obviously, we want to do something where you can get into this, because a lot of people say, well, you turn the left foot out, it starts to feel awkward. I know in lessons, as soon as I get up, people chipping with that left foot turned out, which again, it really helps you rotate through. So what, it feels alien, I feel open. And that's where we want to get 2 clubs, or if you've got some alignment sticks, this is what we want to do, is get one set up just here, and then we've got 3 golf balls on the ground. So this is perfect for your mid-iron, for your ball position. So then what we're going to have is your other alignment stick there. So we know when we come in, we've got our ball position set for us. We can move these 2 golf balls out now. And I've got my left heel touching this alignment stick or shaft. We can then see we've got that turned out. If you sort of see it getting straight or pretty much there, all right, I can see then again I'm limited with my rotation. And what we don't want to start to see people doing is obviously starting to open their stance. We see a lot of people start to open their stance, and then we know we're changing your path. We're changing that to the left. We're then going to be hitting a slice or a fade or over fading it. Again, we don't want to see really people close, because again, that's sending your path, that's trying to manipulate things, and then we've got to time that with the hands. We've got to do a lot of work. So this can get us set with our ball position. I can then get my ball position correct. I can make sure my left heel is touching that, and then I can get this foot exaggerating that it is out there, like James mentioned, at 10 o'clock. So if we do that, then obviously we can come in and start to build a good golf swing from there. I know that I'm nice and square, I know my ball position is good, and it's going to allow me to rotate, like James said, into the golf ball. But this is a check that a lot of people don't do. So if you're on the driving range, it's very easy for you to put this down. It's very easy then to get into that posture. And it's a lot easier for you to hit better golf shots. Again, you can see, like James there, prime example, I've caught the tee as such, the tee is gone, then I've caught the golf ball. That is where my ball position was. You can see the interaction is good, and you see it's very easy for me to get into my finish position, because we see a lot of people struggle with that finish position. If I get my feet square, this is when we start to see, like James mentioned, people finishing like this. Again, if to do the test, all you need to do is obviously stand there. If you have your feet square and you rotate, we're only going to get so far. Here again, I might only get to 20-25 degrees of open. If I now change that hip, I can now really rotate through that shot. And we start to see a lot of people who stiffen up and can't get that, especially when we get into the back end of our round. We're starting to feel it. We've walked 16 holes, we can't move as well. That's when we need to do it. And do we need to do it obviously with your wedges and with your irons? Yes. Do we need to do it with your woods? Even more so. You think we are making a bigger swing or we're hitting a longer club, we need to make sure we can get that body rotating so we can square that up. We know with your driver, if we are a little bit off, that's when we can start to go 40-50 yards awry, which me and James certainly know. But with an iron, the miss is less, but ever more so with the driver and with your fairway woods. Get that left foot turned out, start to commit to that, and you'll start to get good at golf.